when I was a kid, I really had two nightmares. One was nuclear war, and the other was that my parents would get a divorce. And all of my movies are dealing with my parents, really.
Take me out to James with you. What? I want to see it. I want to see where you hide yourself away.
I'm afraid that would be against Commonwealth rules. The only woman allowed on Janus is the keeper's wife.
Then marry me. What are you laughing at?
You'd have to have rocks in your head to want to marry me. Better get you back home. Or they'll have the troopers after me. Come on.
Like, I very rarely audition people because I feel like in an audition, all you're gonna find out is if the person's a good faker. Like, me and you can be in this room and I could do a great performance for you, but I could just be totally faking it. And then when we get out to real life or get out to shooting the movie, I can't do it because I'm just good at faking it, but I can't be real. So I'm always trying with my actors to go be real with them and just find out who they are as human beings. You know, so I spend a lot of time with them. And Michael, not only is he brilliant and a brilliant thinker, he's got a really, I don't want to say soft heart because that would be an insult, but I'll say it, soft heart, because I think it's a compliment, you know, to have some. I think softness is too often associated with weakness, and it's not, you know. I think
True.
So to access that meant I had to have a lot of trust with him, and then I also had to find an actor that could help me access it, and
That's Alicia Vikander.
it led me to Alicia. Yeah.
We know Janus is where the word January comes from. Named after the same god as this island. He's got two faces back to back. Always looking both ways. Torn between two ways of seeing things. January looks forward to the new year and back to the old. And this island looks in the direction of two different oceans.
You're going to make our baby so clever.
With the actresses that came in for Isabel, I did have them audition because I wanted to see how far they would be willing to go, because to be emotional like that is embarrassing. It's very embarrassing. When I like to bring up another story, when I read this book for the first time, I was reading the end of the book on the subway train, on the crowded subway train in New York City, and I was crying, and it was so embarrassing. You know,
Like tears in your eyes or like sobbing?
I was crying down my face. My face was melting in the subway train with all these strangers. And I thought to myself, you know, I was so embarrassed, but I thought to myself, if any one of them were reading it, they would be doing the same thing. So, but it was important to me with an actor who was going to play Isabel that they would be okay with embarrassing themselves, because emotion is embarrassing, and that I didn't want to. You see Spinal Tap, right? I wanted the emotion to be at 11. Yeah. I wanted to turn this up to 11, and I wanted to make sure I had an actor that would go past the point for me. And so she came in and she did it. She did this audition where she completely embarrassed herself for me, and I said, you are the only one to be in this movie because of that, because you.
And was she the only one that
failed.
came in?
No.
That tried to embarrass herself? Or?
No, she did it way better than anyone else.
Oh, that's it.
And to me, that's the biggest compliment, an actor that can do that. Anyway, what I had happen then on set was I had these two great actors. I had Michael, who to me is like the heavyweight champion of actors, and Alicia, who was this inexhaustible thoroughbred. And you know, the heavyweight champ is used to knocking you out in the second round, but the thoroughbred keeps running. And every take, the 30th take, she still got it up to 11. And so the champ ain't gonna go down. the champ's going to keep fighting. And so I had this beautiful thing where they just kept raising the bar for one another. And then they were catching each other. They were there for each other when they fell, and when they embarrassed themselves, they were there. And it was this beautiful, this beautiful partnership I saw. Like, I was a witness to that on screen, and the film is really a witness to their,
because they're a couple.
to that love, that was, blooming between them.
Make a wish.
All right. A book.
Read it, Dada.
For my dada. With love forever and ever 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 and ever. It's the loveliest present I ever had.
Cristi Puyo, he once told me, he's a Romanian film director, that the best moments in his films are accidents. Stuff that he didn't put there, they just happened on set. Do you believe in accidents?
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like I'm a documentarian of fiction, and what I try to do when I make a movie is set up situations and environments where life can happen, where life can creep in upon the story. The way I do that is through process and through trust, So, like when we made this movie, I searched all over the southern hemisphere for a perfect lighthouse, and I finally found this place called Cape Campbell, which was an hour and a half down a bumpy dirt road from the nearest town, from the nearest other human being. And when I presented it to DreamWorks, they said, impossible, you're going to be spending 3 hours a day going to and from set. And I said, well, what happens if we just live there? And they said, impossible. This is a studio movie, Derek. You're going to have 70 people.
You're thinking indie.
This is one of your indie films. And I said, well, do I really have to have 70 people? I was like, what are they all going to do? Can I just shoot it with 12 people? And they said, well, where are you going to put the green screen? And I said, well, we're not going to have a green screen. And they said, well, where are you going to set up your light? Who's going to set up your lights? I said, well, let's not shoot with lights. So they said, okay, fine, if you can convince your actors, but they're never going to agree to. So I called him Michael. I said, Michael, I want you to come out and I want you to live here with me. And he says, no. He says, I think that's a little too much. And I said, look, Michael, you're the best actor. There's nothing I can tell you that's going to help you. I'm not like the actor whisperer or something. It's going to give you something that's going to make you're going to be good without me. I said, but what I can give you is an experience. And in that experience, we can find some life and we can find some accidents.
Concentrate.
You make me feel at peace.
Very strange.
Look like a baby.
Her shaving his mustache is a perfect example of that's months and months and months of convincing the studio to allow Alicia to really shave his mustache because they're scared that she's going to cut him, because she's not a professional mustache shaver. And so it's crazy. So so they want to put a fake blade in there and shave his mustache and put a big thing of shaving cream on his lip, and then she comes in and does this. So I have to fight and fight and fight. I have to get Michael, Alicia, how do you feel? Do you feel like you could do it? She's nervous at this point because there's been too much talk about it. And I say, Michael, how about you? How do you feel? He's like, yeah, I'm fine with her doing it. So we do the scene, but of course we do the scene and everyone's ratcheted up and so scared. And Michael is okay with it. He's the only one that's confident with it. And so Alicia is scared out of her mind like she would be in real life. So that's all of a sudden, and then she shaves his mustache, and in 10 minutes it's over, and you can't do it take two.
No.
You can't do it take two. It is what it is, and so I'm always trying to. That's an example of how I'm always trying to set up a moment that can happen once. And sometimes you get that moment after 30 takes, though. You get it through eroding time.
You're trying to give your actors an experience. Yeah. So what's in it for you?
Therapy.
That's good enough.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.